A beehive is mostly made up of female bees, called worker bees, and every single one of them will spend their entire life working for the colony. Here we have three sisters. Right now, they're just tiny eggs. They're fed royal jelly, a super nutritious substance produced by nurse bees. After about 3 days, the eggs hatch into larvae, where they continue to eat and grow. At around day 9, their older sisters cap their cells with beeswax. Inside these cells, the larvae transforms into a pupae, developing wings, legs, eyes, and tiny hairs that cover their entire bodies. Then, by day 21, they're finally fully developed worker bees, ready to chew their way out and enter the hive for the very first time. Now, despite being sisters born on the same day, their lives are about to become very different. For the first few weeks of their lives, they'll stay inside the hive. During this stage, they're known as house bees. They're all born with huge appetites. So, one of the first things they do is eat lots of honey and pollen to fuel themselves for their first task, housekeeping. They clean and polish used cells so they can be reused again. The queen will later inspect the cells, and if they meet her standards, she'll lay another egg inside. After a few days of housekeeping, the sisters begin receiving different assignments. One sister is promoted to become an undertaker bee. Her job is to carry dead bees, sick bees, and unhealthy larvae out of the hive. By removing these bees, she helps keep her colony incredibly clean. It's one of the reasons beehives are considered some of the cleanest environments found in nature. Oh, and these bees don't really go to waste. They often end up feeding birds or other insects like wasps. So while this bee is busy removing the dead, her sister is assigned to the nursery to become a nurse bee. She spends her days feeding developing baby bees royal jelly, honey, and pollen. Some babies are visited over 1,000 times a day by nurse bees. Some of these babies may even become future queens, but queens are raised very differently. So all baby bees start off by eating royal jelly, but worker bees and male bees only receive it for a few days before switching over to bee bread, a mixture of pollen, nectar, honey, and bee saliva. Future queens, however, continue eating royal jelly throughout their entire development. That special diet fully develops their reproductive system and transforms them into queens. Now, the third sister has been selected for a special job, becoming part of the queen's royal court. So the queen spends nearly every moment laying eggs, sometimes thousands per day. So she can't really take care of herself. So this sister will groom her, feed her, and even clean up her waste. Without her and the rest of the royal court caring for her, the queen simply wouldn't survive. At around 12 days old, the sisters are promoted again, and this time they finally get to work together. They begin helping with one of the colony's most important jobs, making honey. Older forager bees return to the hive carrying nectar. They regurgitate the nectar into the mouths of the younger worker bees, and the sisters pass it from bee to bee. As the nectar moves between workers, each bee adds enzymes from their honey stomach that slowly break down the complex sugars in the nectar into honey. Once it reaches the right consistency, the sisters carefully store it inside these hexagonal honeycomb cells. At around this age, their bodies also begin producing beeswax. Tiny wax flakes are secreted from their abdomen, and the sisters chew the wax until it becomes soft and moldable. Using their legs and antennae, they shape the wax into honeycomb. Now, they don't intentionally build hexagons at first. The cells actually begin as circles. But as the wax warms and softens, the circles press together and naturally form hexagons. These honeycomb cells are used to store honey, pollen, and to raise the next generation of bees. Eventually, the sisters receive one final job inside the hive. By around 18 days old, their stingers are fully developed, allowing them to become guard bees. They stand at the hive entrance inspecting every bee that attempts to enter. Each colony has its own unique scent, and if a bee smells wrong, she won't be allowed inside. These sisters will defend their colony from intruders like wasps, hive beetles, and even honeybees from neighboring colonies trying to steal their honey. And finally, after weeks of working inside the hive, the sisters are promoted to their final role, forager bees. At around 3 weeks old, they leave the hive for the very first time to search for nectar and pollen. During a single trip, they may visit 50 to 100 flowers before returning home. They repeat this exhausting job every single day for the rest of their lives. Foraging will slowly destroy their bodies. And eventually, one day, they'll leave the hive to forage, but they won't have the energy to make it back home. And that's usually how the lives of these sisters will end, working until their final breath.